Hi everyone, this is Lucy from Creative Solutions, or Lucy's Coaching Practice. That's how you may know me. I've not been very active on social media over the past 2 weeks, which actually have quite significantly impacted and changed our realities for most of us, if not all of us, everywhere around the world, due to this global pandemic that we are facing, and it has certainly impacted me. And that's also a reason why I've not been so active, because I had to rethink many ways of working and doing my business. And because of all the things that happened for me and the realizations that came through, I thought about making this video for you to share a bit of an insight about what I've learned and what I understood thanks to coronavirus, and what I found a very effective and proactive way for me to deal with the current situation. With my profession, I work as a mindfulness, life purpose and transformation coach, what practically means that I work with people whom I help to achieve certain goals in their life, to find themselves, to realize what is their true purpose and meaning in this life, what they came here to do, and also how to overcome certain challenges, whatever those challenges are on their journey, whether it's in their professional life, their personal life, certain blocks, some limiting beliefs and patterns which they've been going through in their lives, but which has been holding them back. So I work with people this way. Now, regarding these points which I mentioned, so first of all, as I said, we are facing something which has happened outside of our sphere of influence and control. However, we have to react to it and find a positive or a proactive approach, so we would be impacted to a minimum, or we wouldn't be impacted negatively. So what has worked for me is, instead of complaining and rejecting this situation and really seeing it from the negative point of view, because obviously it has loads of negative consequences, what is very important, first of all, is to accept where we are. Because when we keep rejecting it and complaining about where we are and that this is not fair to anyone and that we don't like where we are, we actually create a block. From a mindfulness and spiritual perspective, we block a flow of energy. So when we start complaining about why is this happening, that we don't like it, and that we don't like the situation where we are, it actually leaves us with no space to act. We become blocked in that situation and we actually feel like we cannot even move from that point, and it feels very uncomfortable, and it's not good for us, and certainly not good for our mental health as well. So I know that it takes a lot of time, and there might be a lot of people who feel panicky or they are stressing and they don't know how to react to what is happening to them. So I appreciate that for each of us it takes a bit of time to deal with our heavy emotions that we might have regarding this situation, and I will talk a bit more about that later. But the most important thing is to breathe through it. Try to breathe through how you feel and acknowledge your feelings. Acknowledge your discomfort, acknowledge that you feel stressed, acknowledge your panic, but try to not feed yourself with more of it, because I can tell you for myself and for some other people with whom I've interacted and who I had a chance to help and discuss this with, it doesn't really help you to be feeding yourself with all the negativity and kind of thinking more about what has been taken from you and that you don't like where you are. It is really good to kind of go, okay, this is whatever I feel, I don't like it, but this is where I am. So let's just breathe through it and let me just accept it. And that's a great space from which you will start seeing solutions, because if you are in a rejection state of mind, you wouldn't be able to see any solution. You would be kind of really stuck just within that one point. So once that we reach the point of acceptance, then it's important to shift our perspective from seeing everything that have been taken from us. So shift that attention from this to looking at what is might have actually given us instead. Because again, if we look at what has been taken away from us, we can never do things. We are kind of, the action is taken away from us. So try to think about not what you can do, but what can you do instead? What this might have given you. So this is the situation where you are. You are probably spending time in a certain environment. Most of us would be forced to be at home, so we are at home. You are in that present moment. What can you do? What are all the things that you can do? And that opens a lot of possibilities for you how to see this. So I think I've written some ideas down regarding this, because it certainly opened my mind to seeing things that I wasn't aware of before, and it makes us more creative as a consequence as well. So for instance, we might have been keeping and putting a lot of work on hold. Now, for most of the workers, I imagine that you might be working from home, so you would be busy Monday to Friday, work hours, but then you might feel bored and again get into that negative mode. But instead, try to think about what are all the things that I've been putting on hold, which I can actually dedicate my time to now. You would be able to maybe find some new hobbies and interests. Like, what are those things that you always wanted to do, but there was never the time to do them, because when you had the time, you were spending it in a different way, socializing, going out, and doing all the things which you cannot do now. So what else can you do within that space that you are given? For me, for instance, because I've mostly worked from home anyway, but things that have been taken from me, for instance, is that I had a load of face-to-face events planned, which I had to all cancel. So basically, part of my business plan had to shut down, and I had to deal with it. So then I started thinking, how can I provide that service in a different way? And it made me more creative to those options. I also started thinking creatively about, for instance, the way to structure my day, because now I felt I've got more time because I'm not going out. I cannot go out so much, and I wouldn't be meeting my clients. So how to spend those additional hours that I'm given, that I have, that now I can use for some proactive activities. I actually developed some new hobbies, which I didn't even know that I will enjoy, because we are maybe limited in the way that we can cook our meals to the food that is available to us. It is not a bad thing, because it makes us more creative. We can look at whatever that we have, and we may start to value those things more, and we become more creative about how we can use the existing things that we have, which is a really good thing from a self-development perspective as well. The third thing, which I think is also brilliant to realize, is that we are put into this moment where we are, and it's very difficult to plan for the future, because things, I think, everywhere are changing day by day. So it forces us, this situation actually forces us to do something really positive, which is being in a present moment. And I know that for many of us, it's not that easy to become present and get ourselves in that present moment. Why is it difficult? Because our brains are wired in a different way, and we can obviously rewire them in a better way, but because of the way that all of our environments and society thinks, we focus on different things. So we mostly focus on what we want to do in the future, which takes the present moment from us, or we are thinking back of all the things that happened in the past which we don't like. So it's not a proactive and good thinking. It's not a good food for our brain to think like that. And instead to concentrate on that present moment actually enriches us a lot. So to be in the present moment, what it really means is that it opens us to our inner dialogues. It allows our subconscious mind to talk to us when we actually become present with ourselves, when we, as I mentioned in the first point, go, okay, this is the situation and I accept it, and this is where I am now. And we allow ourselves to breathe through that moment. We realize that there are so many answers that we have within us, and eventually this particular thing has an opportunity to give us a lot of peace. Eventually, if you allow yourself to go there, you will find peace. So this will take all that hassle, stress, and panic away from you. If you allow yourself to be just in the present, if you realize that at present is actually all there is. More thing about this present moment is that this is time for a reflection rather than a time for an action, because the ways we can act are quite limited, which doesn't mean that we cannot do any action, but this is great for a self-reflection. And self-reflection or reflecting basically means looking back at different areas of our lives. For instance, we can look back at our career, back at the way that we've been spending our time, dedicated time to different things, how we've been going on with our lives, and looking back and really evaluate how do we feel about that now, due to everything that we are experiencing now. Are we happy? Have we been happy with how we've been living our lives, how we've been spending our time and dedicating it to certain things? Have we been doing things that matter for us, or we are actually not happy about that? Now, during this situation, for many of us, or many of you, when this reflection happens, you may feel a lot of discomfort to question yourself, because it is uncomfortable for the mind, the untrained mind, to do this process, but it's very important. So if you would feel a very strong resistance to even ask yourself this, just consider it normal, because this is very, very different thing which you are doing, and so the situation is different. So to feel negative as a first reaction about whatever is happening, it's a very natural thing. So it's good not to blame ourselves for actually feeling negative about whatever is happening, because this thing represents a change, and change is very critical for human mind and human brain. It takes a lot of effort for it to accept it and deal with the change. We as humans, we don't like changes. So even questioning ourselves about some things are not comfortable for us. But it's very essential for us, because this is a great time to come up with better ways of how we can do things, thanks to doing that reflection. And because we are in this present moment, we are in this stage, in this point, to make a decision precisely at this moment to change our lives to be more meaningful than that they have been before. And please know that if you feel that there is nobody else, actually everybody is going through a bit of a personal crisis, and there is also a heaviness and discomfort, which is totally natural, because our ways of living has been drastically changed, and it's not been our choice. So accepting this becomes much more difficult than accepting something which has been our choice. And even if we make a choice to change something about our lives, once that we start doing it, we find ourselves feeling uncomfortable about a new situation just because it's perfectly normal. So because of all of this happening, it is very important that we keep ourselves centered, and that we are able to accept and accept our attitude as well. And starting from this perspective can really shift your reality. And I hope that I was able to shine some more perspective about how to look at this, and what this period can actually give us instead of take from us. It has given me a lot, to be honest, because I've already started seeing many things differently. I feel that I also appreciate much more things which I've taken for granted, and that's a really good place to start with. And I wish you all the best in the next upcoming days and weeks. And please feel free to share your opinions and thoughts about what I shared with you. Feel free to get in touch if there is any way that I can support you in what you're going through. Please feel free to connect, and I'm happy to talk to you about that. I wish you all a very good and proactive week to have. And this again is a situation as all the other ones which last for some time, but it's not forever. So if it feels terrible to you, just know that it's not going to last forever. So don't see it as a catastrophe, and have a good week again.